Oh, we got a topic today, man. Today we are talking about, should I wait until prices go down to buy? Woo, that's a good question. Because we're hearing that question a lot, aren't we, Lissette?
All the time.
All the time. We're taking out buyers. Buyers are just coming through the, but it doesn't matter how many buyers you get. There are not enough listings. There's just a really big shortage of inventory out there. It's making it really challenging to find stuff for the buyers. And I don't know if they're truly thinking, what is the best financial decision, or if it's the frustration kicking in and they're just saying, let me find something I can attach my feelings to, my emotions to. And that thing is, maybe it's just not a smart time to buy, right? And that is the answer to the emotional concern that they're having right now. So we wanted to answer this big question, right? And I'll tell you, this is going to end with a gray answer. And the reason we're going to end with a gray answer is because we don't have a crystal ball, right? Lisette's got her feelings. She's done an amazing job on some research here for you guys. She's going to present here in a little bit. I know exactly how I feel and why, because I've done a little research myself, but nobody knows. I've been assured of things in the past, and it goes completely the other way. I'll tell you, when Corona hit, I thought that it was going to go completely worse than it did. But I see a lot of businesses are struggling, and I see other industries are not just doing okay, they're thriving, right? And that's something I did not see. So I think if anybody's going to be honest with themselves, even the studs, the experts, the people making millions off of forecasting this stuff, you've got to admit that nobody truly knows what's going on. But we're going to try best to give you some good, like at our level, right? Working with buyers and sellers on a daily basis, some good at our level advice for a buyer asking, should I wait? So Lissette, let's hear this amazing research that you've been digging into.
Well, I think it's a question I get from every single buyer, and it's a tough market out there because we do have such a tight inventory that we're working with, and prices have gone up. So four of the main factors that I am looking at when I'm talking to my buyers is, one, interest rates. They are at an all-time low, and that gives buyers more buying power and also more money in your pocket in the long run. If you're thinking of upsizing in the future, this is a time to do it. You're going to be able to purchase that property that you're thinking of staying for 10 to 20 years and then save all that money on the life of the loan.
Yep.
The appreciation is another issue that I run into and people are talking about. We don't know what's going to happen in the market, but listening to experts in the market and forecasting what may happen in the upcoming months, property values may continue to rise. I had an experience with a builder this past week who said they are actually raising prices to slow down production, which I was like amazed to even hear that.
Yep.
And some builders are out 10, 11 months.
Yeah.
It's just so many contracts they have going on at the moment. And
do
then
you mind if I ask you a quick question on the appreciation?
Yeah.
So just because some people are going to get this, some people aren't going to get this, I want to make sure everybody's on the same page. When I own a house and I buy that house for $250,000, right? What is appreciation? What does it do for me as a homeowner?
It's going to put more money in your pocket. If you decide to sell your home, your home is going to appraise for more than what you bought it for.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking of upsizing and going to a bigger home, and you see the opportunity now is to save money on those interest rates.
Yeah. So I buy now for $250,000. Maybe in 8 years I go to sell and it's worth $350,000. So I'm making money on that investment, right?
Exactly.
But if I'm renting and that home starts going up in value, guess what the rents do? They go up in value too. And now instead of paying your mortgage down and getting the appreciation, you're paying a guy like me's mortgage because I went out and bought that property and I'm making money as an investor, right? So and we're going to get to that. I'm not going to give away the detail. I'm planting the seed right now. We'll get to the point in a little bit, but I just wanted to plant that seed right there. But keep going on to number 3.
Yeah, that's very important too. And I think if we take a look at in the past markets, you're always going to have people that say, wish I would have bought when. And I think this is a time in history that people are going to say, I wish I would have bought when the interest rates were low, when I would have put a little bit more money in my pocket, when I could have gotten that property before it started appreciating more in value.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got appreciation, and I also like to look at, and this is kind of the little seed that I was planting, right? What is your plan B? Because if your plan B is renting and you look at how much you're going to be paying in, and those rental prices could go up. You don't control that. Once you get a mortgage, assuming you've got a fixed mortgage, which is what the majority of people have in the United States, that mortgage doesn't change, right? The number stays the same for the life of the loan almost on every single loan that we've got here. So you know what you're getting into. So you'll see people who have a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 home. You ask them what their payment is, and it's $1,100 a month. You're like, $1,100? And like, I got the loan like 83 years ago, and I'm being a little crazy there, but they got the loan a long time ago, right? So they're paying a little amount. Whatever your amount today is, 10, 15, 20 years from now, it's going to sound as crazy as an $1,100 payment on a $400,000 house sounds right now, right? So I think that looking at your plan B is really important. And also looking at, okay, let's say your plan B isn't renting. Let's say you're living with mom and dad. Okay, if you don't mind living with mom and dad, and maybe does mom and dad, do they mind living with you? That's a big question too. Financially, that's a phenomenal decision. If you're looking at saving money and you're currently worried about the prices going up, you're taking a gamble, but financially, I can see where you're coming from. But if you're in a situation where you're just losing financially anyway, I think it's almost a no-brainer to come in right now. And don't forget, appraisals are there to protect you. If the market is going up so fast that prices can't be justified, I've seen deals right now. I've got my transaction coordinator, lenders are telling me, hey, I realize that you appreciate the fact that the prices are going up and you want to pay this amount because you're a motivated buyer, but I can't allow you to pay this much on this property because we just don't have comps to support it, right? So if you don't have the comps to support it, the appraiser is going to keep everything in check. So can you pay 10 grand, 20 grand over? Yes, but can you come in and pay 50 grand over if you're a funded buyer? No, they're not going to allow that, right? The appraiser is going to put a stomp on that. So I think that's an important point to make too. Even though prices are moving up, that price shift for it to be a big deal is going to take a year, 2 years, 3 years. It's not something that happens like this because the appraiser's involved.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah.
Another question I get a lot is, well, what about the foreclosures coming on the market? And I think, yeah, it's something that we really need to keep an eye out. We do have a lot of people in a tough situation still trying to keep afloat and keep up with their payments. But what we've seen is the number of forbearances have also gone down. And there's a few factors that weigh in on that. One, people are extending their forbearance. And two, people are paying off their forbearance. One of the ways they're paying off their forbearance is by having equity in your property and selling their home to avoid foreclosure. So I think a lot of people are betting on 2008 to try to catch that deal and prices to drop really low. Again, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but just taking a look at what's currently happening right now and the situation a lot of people are in, it's a smart thing to put your house on the market and sell it than to just let it slip into foreclosure.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too, because I remember when the moratorium on evictions and foreclosures came out, and you started seeing those numbers just skyrocket, right? Everybody got a little nervous, including myself. But I think too, now this is my opinion, when you look at unemployment numbers, they also skyrocketed, right? But then what did you see? You see, and then all of a sudden they started coming down, right? I think everybody tried to take advantage of that. Everybody was concerned. Everybody was nervous. Everybody was alarmed. And so they said, oh my gosh, let me go after this opportunity, which, hey, it makes complete sense. I see where the motivation is. But then after it kind of, well, let's call it normalized. I guess in 2020, this is what we call normalized. People kind of said, oh, okay, I got a little bit better feeling for what's going on. I can go get this job. It's not maybe the job I had. It's a different job, whatever. And those unemployment numbers have dropped, right? I think the same thing is starting to happen with these numbers on the evictions and the foreclosures. People are saying, okay, it's not as crazy as I thought it was. There are options. And I did sell back in 2008. And I do remember going into those listing appointments, and the people had just bought the home for $300,000. It could have been 5 years ago. But they bought the four-wheelers and the dirt bikes and the big trucks and the add-ons and redid their kitchen. Everybody was maxing out their HELOCs, and like there was no equity in that house. So it didn't matter. Once the market just went boop, a little bit down, nobody had equity. And they would want to call and sell for whatever reason, right? There's a million reasons to sell. And you'd have to tell them, listen, I know you bought the home for $300,000. It's now worth $290,000. But you've maxed this sucker out, man. You owe $310,000 on it. And they're like, I cannot pay money. So then they would let that property go back to the bank, or we deal with short sales or, other issues. And it was a big issue. But now when I walk in, and tell me what you're seeing, I'm seeing people with 50 to 100% equity in their properties. And even if you just bought the property 2 years ago, you've got a good 30, 40% equity in there because the market has been so strong. People are paying their mortgages. And that's what I'm seeing. So with that equity in there, personally, I don't think we're seeing anything like 2008.
Nothing like 2008. And I can compare, I say the story over and over again. The property had on the market back in June, got an offer for $10,000, $15,000 less than what it's selling now. And it's actually appraised at that value. So by just waiting a few months, it jumped up. So definitely people have options now that they did not have before. I think everyone is also a little bit more educated on the process of foreclosures, short sales, forbearance, and that banks are offering more options than they did in 2008. Wow.
Yeah, it pushed us too. And you kind of just alluded to this. There are a lot of options when it comes to, hey, I can't make my mortgage payment. Call your bank, call them now. They're going to present you all those options. They'll tell you all the pros, all the cons, and you can move forward with something that works for you. But I'll tell you, from 2008, if you're embarrassed or you just are like, I'm screwed anyway, so why call them? I'm telling you, that is a mistake. The only thing you have to risk is the 15 to 30 minutes on the phone that you're going to invest. That is it. There are a lot of situations, more than 50% of the time, you're going to get off the phone and be in a better position than you would have been had you not made that phone call. There are a lot of options. And I think you're going to see that. We're better prepared for this because we saw 2008. The banks have better options in place for people. They have the forbearance. They have, hey, put it at the back of the loan. They have all the equity in place right now so that you can, like you said, sell, or you can refi, or you can do a million different things. So I don't think we're going to see that. I also think that there was a load of inventory on the market then. It was an extreme buyer's market. I remember, so I always say like 3 to 4 months of inventory, right? So months of inventory means if we didn't take any new listings and we were selling at the rate that we're currently selling, how long would it take to get through the inventory we have? 3 to 4 months is about average, right? If it's any lower than that, that's a strong seller's market, which is exactly what we've got right now. If it's, 5, 6, 7 months, that's a pretty strong buyer's market. I remember at that point, depending upon the price point, the area, everything else, you were looking at 9, 12, even more months of inventory. It was crazy. So looking at that, you can see why people were sitting there. They were staged well. They were priced well. They fixed everything. The home was, you marketed it. Everything was going great. You still wouldn't get offers. And we're not seeing that now. There is such a shortage in inventory that even if the buyer pool dropped 10, 20, 30%, you're still getting multiple offers because there's just nothing. I looked up in Port St. Lucie the other day, $300,000 to $400,000 with a pool, 4+ bedrooms. Yeah. I was expecting 60, 70, 80 options. There were 7. Yeah. It's like 7, that's it? So really, I don't think people understand it until they feel it, until they look, until they're a buyer, they get someone like you or me, and we're telling them, well, you got 7 options. They're like, 7? That's crazy. So we're getting really, and I'm getting off topic a little bit here, but we're having to get really flexible with what it is we're doing. And that, here's a little bit of a pitch for new construction. New construction prices, I'm gonna let you lead into this a little bit too, are really, new construction is usually a little more expensive, kind of like a new car, right? You get what you want, so it's a little more expensive, but now it's starting to do this. And when you've got a lot of options, there's a lot of different things you can do. You can customize, you can pick where you want to be, you can pick the builder you want to be with. Man, that looks really good right now. What do you think about that?
I think if you have time to wait, new construction is an amazing option. You are getting a lot for your money. You're getting home warranty along with that. You're getting something new. Who doesn't like something new? Yep. You're locking in today's prices, even though you may not move into that property 6, 7, 8 months down the road. Yep. It's just a little bit tight on what's available on the market right now. So I do push my buyers a lot towards new construction because it gives them so many more options than what we currently have in our inventory at the moment.
Yep. And we've got it's small, but we do have a small handful of builders in the area that are building specs, right? A spec home is something that they're committed to building no matter what. They're going to build it no matter what. So you don't have to wait the 8, 9 months that you have to wait normally, right? You maybe wait 2 months, 3 months, 4 months until it's built. But because it's mid-construction, you can pick colors, you can pick cabinets, you can pick flooring, you can pick granite, you can pick all the different things that you really want to customize anyway. So you get 80-90% of the customization you want anyway. You can get that nice end loan instead of the construction loan. The timeline is a lot shorter. The prices are just as good, if not better. So, new construction has really stepped it up since this whole thing happened. And I'm seeing a lot of builders come up with some pretty good options for buyers. Are you seeing that?
Yes, you have options, you have incentives, and just the upgrades. You can choose the colors you want. You could choose your countertops. When you're going to go into the resale market, it's very hard for a buyer to love absolutely everything about the house.
Yeah.
They always have in mind, what can I change? What can I do down the road? Well, this saves them out-of-pocket expense and the time and the effort to do those changes as well. So I'm always a big fan of new construction.
Yeah. The last thing I'd say is this. It really depends on also, right? Because there's a slew of things to consider here. Are you selling and buying up? Are you selling and buying down? Or are you selling and buying, it's kind of a parallel move. And when I say that, I say, are you selling a $300,000 home and buying a 500? Or are you selling the 500 and moving into a 300? If the market, let's just use easy numbers, has gone up 10% and you're like, oh, I don't want to sell and then I have to buy and the buying's going to be so expensive. Listen, if you're selling a $500,000 home, that means your home went up 50 grand ish, right? Let's use easy numbers. That $30,000 or that $300,000 home is higher, but it's only $30,000 higher. So your net is $20,000 to the plus, right? So that's a great thing. Now, if you're buying up, it's the opposite of that. So then you have to say, okay, is it worth $20,000 now? And am I willing to gamble that money? Which I'm not saying $20,000 is a lot of money or not a lot of money when it comes to me. Now, let's look at one guy's perception, right? When I build, I'm going to stay there until I'm 73. Like, you're going to have to drag me out and put me in an old folks home. That's how I am. Once I find something that works, I'm with it forever, man. So for me, I don't care about 20 grand over the span of the next 40 years. It just doesn't matter to me, right? When you do the math, it's peanuts. So it wouldn't matter to me. Do I want to pay an extra 50 to 100 grand? Maybe not. But for me, 20 grand. For some people, it's going to be a lot. Really, I think the big thing is to educate yourself. Know what option A, B, and C look like. Don't just think about it. Don't just be emotional. Actually write it down. Take the time with your realtor, with your financial planner, with your lender. Write down those numbers. Really get a good feel for those different plans. And once you see it apples to apples and you see the black and white numbers, now you can make a good, solid, educated decision. Lissette, what do you got to finish with? Give me something good.
Yeah, I just really want to stress the fact that we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but we do know what's going on right now. So it is important to, if you can, lock in those interest rates, lock in today's prices. And if you want to buy within the next 6 months to a year, now is the time. Don't sit on the fence and wait for those interest rates to go up or for prices to go down, because they're not forecasted to go down in the near future. Next year, a year and a half down the road, we don't know. But within the next 6 months, things are looking like they're going up.
What are rates at right now?
We have the 30-year at 2.89 and the 15 at 2.4.
Yeah. Now, every lender watching this is like, oh my God, I don't know if I can out. Like, listen, some people, like the lenders have to add on their little bits, right? And they make different amounts of money. Some add on, you're like, well, their rate's higher, but then you got to look at their closing costs. There are a million things involved with that. But rates are in the high 2s, low 3s right now, which is phenomenal for anybody looking to buy. What a great leveraging tool, right? So, Lissette, I appreciate it as always. You're amazing. You make me look great. You make me look smart. I appreciate it. Have an awesome, productive day, my friend.
Take care, Joe. Bye, guys.